Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, November 5. On this date in 2000, ECW held its November to Remember pay-per-view. In the main event, Steve Corino defeated Jerry Lynn, the Sandman, and Justin Credible in a double Jeopardy match to win the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2006, WWE held its Cyber Sunday pay-per-view. In the main event, World Heavyweight Champion King Booker defeated WWE Champion John Cena and WWECW Champion The Big Show in a triple threat match to determine the champion of champions. Also in this event, Ric Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper defeated the Spirit Squad to win the World Tag Team Championship. On this date in 1994, ECW held its November to Remember event. In the main event, Chris Benoit fought Too Cold Scorpio to a double countout. Benoit initially fought Sabu in the main event, however the match was stopped after Sabu broke his neck. This has been Today in Wrestling History, November 5. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Yeah, I'll have the footage of that up a little bit later today for those who may have missed it. Yes, that infamous botched back body drop by Chris Benoit that kind of really established his nickname in ECW as the Crippler, where that messed up back body drop caused Sabu to land pretty much right on his head and break his neck in the ring. And he had the wherewithal to roll outside of the ring and get out of harm's way, and eventually Too Cold Scorpio was brought out to kind of be the replacement opponent for Benoit, who obviously was a little bit distraught about that, but kind of an interesting memory, kind of getting to that point of the year where, you see a lot of November to Remember, and you see those World War III pay-per-views coming up from back in the old WCW days, as far as looking back in history, and of course Survivor Series as we get a little bit later into the month. Not to mention a couple of days, of course, the anniversary of that infamous incident in Montreal that a lot of wrestling fans are still talking about, and it's been kind of resurfacing with the release of the WWE DVD Greatest Rivalries, where Jim Ross has a sit-down interview, pretty much like a roundtable discussion almost, with both Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and they talk obviously talk about a lot more than just Montreal, but they kind of talk about the parallels of their careers, both starting off in the tag team ranks. Bret obviously with the Hart Foundation, and Michaels, of course, with the Midnight Rockers in the AWA, and eventually the Rockers in the WWE. And then how they both kind of went to singles paths, got the Intercontinental Championships, made their way up to the WWE Championship, and, of course, fought over that various times over the span of 5 years. I mean, they had a title match, not really title versus title, but at the time Michaels was the Intercontinental Champ and Bret was the WWE Champion, and they faced off in a match at Survivor Series 92, and then, of course, 5 years later, we had the infamous Montreal incident. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at some news and notes. Here's a not-so-good one from the former Mountie, as you may remember him, Jacques Rougeau. He's been diagnosed with prostate cancer. An online article states that his prostate is, quote, the size of a grapefruit. We even got a grimace from Wild Bill Melody on that one. That's rather large. Rougeau has had issues with it in the past, including some kidney stones, and is undergoing additional tests to confirm the original diagnosis. Rougeau, only 51 years old, which I would have thought he was older than that, because it seems like he's been around for close to ever. But I guess those days of the fabulous Rougeau brothers were about 25 years ago, which would put him in his mid-20s at that point in the WWE. So go figure. Another news: former WWE diva Maryse. Well, she of course was released last week. We talked about that here on the program. She wrote the following on her website regarding her departure from the company. After 6 fantastic years with the WWE, I've decided to move on and begin the next chapter of my life. Thank you to all of my fans, colleagues in the WWE Universe. Living in Los Angeles, I look forward to continuing my career in entertainment and creating new and exciting content. She wasn't exactly heartbroken over that being let go. I think it was kind of a mutual parting of the ways, as she was pretty much ready to party in L.A. the night that it was announced. She had announced on Twitter where she was going to be to celebrate. That I thought was kind of interesting. And in a bit of a Halloween note, well, The Rock, he posted a photo of himself in his Halloween costume as Fred Flintstone. He said, "Fear the Fred," that was the caption, and he gave Halloween wishes out, and kind of a reference to Cena with all of his colorful shirts, and kind of reminding of a bowl of Fruity Pebbles. And in that same token, Cena responded on Twitter that it looked like The Rock had his Fruity Pebbles that morning and hoped that it was a good sign for Survivor Series, which we haven't even talked about that because we kind of all knew it was going to happen anyway. The Rock opening up Raw this past Monday, initially declining the offer to team up with John Cena to face The Miz and R-Truth at Survivor Series, but eventually, because the people wanted it, he accepted. So coming up in a couple of weeks, the first time in the ring in a match in about 7.5 years, you will see The Rock teaming up with John Cena. You looking forward to it? I know I am, just as a fan of The Rock, but I don't think that it looks all that great for Miz and R-Truth, considering that Cena has pretty much been able to handle both of them on his own, and now you're going to get someone who trumps even Cena's popularity, as polarizing as it is. You know, obviously there will be people's elbows and rock bottoms all over the place, and I don't know. I don't think it looks all that good for, well, R-Truth, who's kind of been in the WWE doghouse for a long time anyway, and The Miz, who, well, because he's dating Maurice and she's now off on her own, who knows what that will do as far as affecting his push, whether that'll take him even further from the main event picture or not. Well, that's certainly yet to be determined. Some other health news. JR, well, he posted on the Twitter page Monday a bit of an update regarding Barry Windham. He was still hospitalized, of course, improving from some heart attack and liver issues. Rotunda was actually the one who had found him. Mike Rotunda, you might remember him as IRS. He is the brother-in-law of Barry Windham, and actually was the one who found him and was able to get him hospitalized. Nothing but the best wishes for a speedy recovery for Barry Windham. Also, TNA, they've announced that Jules Wortman has been hired as the Vice President of Public Relations. Wortman's job is to bring exposure to the brand and TNA's various projects. Certainly something they want to do if they want to provide some competition for the WWE, especially with the rollout of the WWE Network. And that's going to be coming up in 2012, and they're working on some more programming, and they want you, the fans, to help them provide titles for some of their shows. They're running a poll to name a couple of their, or they're running polls to name some of their network TV shows. As they put it, this particular one is an interactive countdown show in which fans rank WWE's hottest topics. They give you the options of WWE Your Call, WWE Countdown, WWE Settle the Score, and WWE Hit List. I don't even know if it's worth voting on that one because WWE Countdown has pretty much dominated the polls in that one. That's pretty much a landslide already. This one's a little bit more interesting. The other show that they're working on, it's going to be a daily live studio show that will provide breaking news, exclusive match analysis, topics of the day, interviews, highlights, and commentaries. Almost sounds like my show here, only it's totally WWE run. Now, what was that look for, Bill? Oh, it gave me a little bit of a half smile, half smirk. I wasn't sure what that was about. But no, the options for this particular show, you've got WWE Power Center, WWE Action Center, WWE Event Center, WWE Live Event Center, and WWE Interaction Center. And I think that's because they couldn't go with WWE Sports Center because, they didn't want to commit copyright infringement from their in-state neighbors over at ESPN. At least that's my guess. So you won't be seeing Sports Center necessarily. At least I don't believe so. And one other thing, Jim Ross, I know I mentioned him a little bit ago. We were supposed to see that Michael Cole challenge. I don't know if they ran long with the Muppet stuff or if they just didn't know what the Michael Cole challenge was going to be. They, of course, being the writers. But Ross was in Atlanta, and as he put on Twitter, was informed by GM's office my services weren't needed. Cole wants to make fun of my 3 surgeries. Classy. Yeah, for just what we need, more bowel humor. I have a feeling that was more Vince feeding that into Cole's ear than anything else. At least that wouldn't surprise me. All right, we'll get back to news and notes in a minute. For now, let's get over to the phones. We've got Nick, who's been waiting rather patiently, at least I'm pretty sure. Nick, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Thank you very much. I just want to let you know, I listen to your show every Saturday from 12 to 1.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Pardon?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, and you really know your stuff. The only problem is I haven't seen a good wrestling match since Hulk Hogan, was 45 or something.
Wow, we're going. Well, what? So, okay, so you're saying you haven't seen a good wrestling match in the last 13 years?
Yes.
All right, let me look back at my math here.
Pardon?
I'm just trying to think back in the math. So you're saying you haven't seen a good match since 1998?
Right. I mean, I used to watch, you're going to laugh now, Chief Big Heart and Antonio Rocca and Arnold Skolin and Tony Atlas, and they, they were good. I enjoyed all that. But now, I don't know, it seems like everything is so scripted, and the script is kind of silly.
Well, I was going to say, I'm just trying to... I was kind of taken aback by the statement. You weren't exactly a fan from, we'll go with, let's say, WrestleMania 24, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. That didn't do a whole lot for you?
Shawn Michaels, I enjoyed Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. They're both very enjoyable wrestlers. But some of them are, I think I could beat them, to be honest with you.
What, some of the current crop of wrestlers?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. It depends on what vitamins you're taking, I guess.
But I listen to you, Ev. I've listened to you for years, and I wanted to call you and tell you that because it's interesting.
Well, it hasn't been a lot of years. I've only been here about 2.5 now, something like that.
Before that, I listened to the other gentleman who used to be on.
Oh, yeah. Well, Eric had it for quite a while.
About 10 years, right?
A little over that, 10.5 years, getting the nod from Bill.
And I used to listen to him, and I listen to you every Saturday, and I'll be here next Saturday as well.
Oh, I certainly appreciate that. Actually, you mentioned Tony Atlas. About a month and a half ago, I was able to, he was in the area doing an autograph session over at Sign-O-Mania. I'm sure you heard me promote that a little bit. Well, I was able to get an interview with him. I was able to talk to him for a couple of minutes. I'm actually going to have that interview. I've been trying to work diligently to get that cleaned up. I've had some other things that have kind of taken me away from doing that. But I will have that interview on the program next week. So my conversation with Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
Excellent. I got a chance to talk to Bruno Sammartino from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And he sounded fabulous. He really sounded in good shape. He's got to be in his 70s, wouldn't you think?
I would say right around there, man. Don't have his exact age off the top of my head, but
I really enjoyed him wrestling, and he was great to talk to on the radio.
Eric, I know, had him on here quite a few times, and I think that was kind of my hesitation as well. I know that a lot of the listeners have spoken or have listened to those interviews in the past, and it's kind of like what else could I necessarily ask, at least off the top of my head. So it's kind of a fine line to try to figure out. But yes,
Bruno,
very
fresh. I
try to. I mean,
you do, and very live. And I remember who was the gentleman who was leading with you? Was from Philadelphia. The fans, or whether the
Richie, you mean? He was with me for.
Great. Yeah. I'm sorry he's not on anymore.
Believe me, he's sorry too. I'll have to send the audio clip of that to him, because I know he had some personal issues that kind of took him away from the show. But and I'm sure if you're a friend of Richie's, the check's in the mail. No. No, but to answer your question, Bruno, he actually just about a month ago turned 76.
Wow. He's kept himself pretty good, really, for a man 76.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about the guy? He held the old Worldwide Wrestling Federation title for a combined 11 years. You know, so
wow,
I think he knows a little bit something about about championship training.
Slightly, you're right.
A lot more than I do. That's for sure.
I listen, and when you say listen to someone, I put them on, give them a chance.
Well, that's good. I like I said, I appreciate it, and I'm trying to do little bits and things to grow the show. Working, trying to figure out this whole social media thing between Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. I mean, I'll admit it's not all my forte, but I'm slowly working on expanding it.
Well, you're doing, every week gets better, and that's all you can do, really.
That's all you can hope for.
That's right.
Kind of pulling a Tony Kornheiser. I'll just try and do better the next time,
Well, take care of yourself, and I'll be listening.
All right. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
No problem. Wow. Good to hear a little bit of positive feedback. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing this and just kind of, spinning my wheels, or if I'm like a dog chasing my tail. But I'm glad that you appreciate these things out there. So, yes, next week I'll have that Tony Atlas interview. Got to speak with him for a couple of minutes. I mean, he was part of the main group up there from Signomania as far as the autograph session. So I was very fortunate, and special thanks to Doug over there from George's Cards and Collectibles for setting that up, being able to give me a couple of minutes with him there. Got to throw that thanks out there, because if I don't, I'm sure I won't hear the end of it, because that's how Doug rolls. All right, we got a couple of minutes left. Some other pieces and news and notes here. I mentioned it earlier, ice cream, tables, ladders, and chairs. The pay-per-view poster for TLC has been released. Of course, that show takes place December 18th in Baltimore, Maryland. CM Punk is shown with the image of a WWE ice cream bar, but on the cookie side of the bar, there is a table, a ladder, and a chair. Way to continue to tease us, WWE. Come on, make the ice cream bars happen. I'm right on board with CM Punk on that. That was one of my favorites, running up to the ice cream truck. I'd see that. I had no problem plunking down the $1.75 or $2 or whatever it was to get one of those ice cream bars with the wrestler figures on it. You can make it happen. Go for it. Also, can you dig this? WWE officially advertising Booker T is challenging Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental title at the December 29th live event in Buffalo. If it means getting Booker T back in the ring, which he can still go late in his 40s and away from the commentators' table on SmackDown and on pay-per-views, I think that would be addition by subtraction. And speaking of other numbers, the numbers, they don't lie. The third quarter numbers are in as far as pay-per-view buy rates and other business ventures brought to us by Vince McMahon. For all the hype for CM Punk's Pipe Bombs, July's Money in the Bank pay-per-view, well, that was one of the few that the buy rates went up. It was at 195,000 buys, up from the 165,000 from last year. SummerSlam was actually down. They had almost 300,000 buys this year as opposed to 350,000 last year. And September's Night of Champions, only 161,000 pay-per-view buys, slightly down from the 165,000 from last year. So a little bit of consistency there for September. Now, the movie studios, WWE studios, they earned $3.7 million in revenue from the third quarter of this year. That's almost half of what was made in the third quarter of last year. Of course, between all these different movies, this Chaperone and of course, Inside Out, and it hasn't exactly been a good quarter for WWE Studios. Kind of wonder how many more of these how many more of these movies they're going to make that go to theaters for a whopping weekend and then go right to DVD. Even the wrestling fans aren't buying into it anymore. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for this week. Next week, I'll have my predictions certain to go wrong for TNA Turning Point. Plus, of course, I'll have that interview with Tony Atlas as well. Plus, more news and notes, more of your thoughts, opinions, and otherwise. And don't forget to check out the Facebook page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. And, of course, if you missed this or any of the shows from the last couple of weeks, check out YouTube. Just type in WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly, and I'll have it up there for you. That's it for me. Stay tuned. We've got high school football here on 1490 WBCB.
This is your station for Phillies baseball and Eagles football on 1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.